This is a collection of some of the scariest Roblox creepypastas I've read on my channel. The story times will be in the description and pinned comment below. And just as a friendly reminder, remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell because YouTube can be a jerk face sometimes. And without any further ado, let's begin. Have you ever gotten a sudden feeling of fear? Like something was behind you, but you know that's not possible. Have you ever felt in danger? Like if you're sitting on a high wall, or if you're holding a sharp object, and you feel your hands slowly start to sweat. I have. I felt it all, but I felt another feeling. One I cannot describe. I think that I felt death. It all started a few months ago. It was a stormy night, around 11 o'clock. I was doing what I always did, sitting motionless on my old office chair. The only thing moving in my entire room was my fingers, which were clicking away my mouse and typing on my keyboard. I'm trying to remember what game I was playing. I think it was Our Happy Town or something. I've searched through it like 100 times before, so I don't remember why I was even there. I believe I was there with a friend. We were talking and talking. We met some other aspiring myths and myth hunters and talked to them. It was all fun until somebody joined the game. Their name was my name. I didn't know how they completely copied my name, but it read Undead Alfie TV. I searched Spawn and the entire island, but there was nothing. Where did he go? The weirdest part was when I told my friend. He told me I was the only person with my username. Taking screenshots of the player list, I sent them to him right away, but he said that it was just me in the screenshots. That oh so familiar feeling of fear dashed into me like a knife. What was happening? I decided to go to the basement game and talk with my friend there. Walking into the phone box, my screen went black as I saw I was joining a game. Little did I know, I was not joining the one I wanted. Loading in, I found myself in a poorly made street. Had I gone insane? No, that's not possible. Looking around, I saw nothing else. Just a street. No houses, no gardens, no cars. Just a street. Obviously, I went to leave when the same duplicated account joined. The spawn was empty. Now I knew that he was using some sort of invisibility exploit or admin commands. But there was not an admin command symbol at the bottom right. A notification popped up on my screen. He sent a friend request to me. His account picture was empty, no avatar there. I don't know what I was thinking. I didn't know what the heck I was doing, but I clicked accept. As soon as I clicked it, my screen went completely blue. Pressing the power button, I couldn't turn off the screen. Doing everything I could, I still couldn't do it. Finally, I shut the lid to my laptop and gave up. And that was the end of that. Until 3 days ago. I got my laptop and tried one last time to power up, and it did. Relief struck over me. But then I felt uneasy once I knew why it had crashed. Going on to Roblox, I saw as all of my friends were gone. All of the games I had played and liked were gone. Except for one. It was called You're Ready. Clicking on it, I loaded in and looked around. The game was on the same street as before, but now it was more lively. I saw houses and some cars. I couldn't enter any of the houses except for one. It had a striking resemblance to the front of my own house, even down to the lawn flamingo I had planted right in front of my birch tree. Coincidence? That is what I thought to myself. It's just a coincidence. When I entered, I saw the flooring. It was a carpet with the same design on it as the one in my house. To the left was the living room, just like my house. Inside was 3 blue couches, just like my house. I looked and looked around. Everything was the same. All of my rooms, every one of them except my own. The door wasn't functional. I tried clicking on it and walking through it, but nothing happened. Then someone joined the game. They walked over to the bottom of the stairs. I looked as they slowly walked up. The most terrifying thing was in real life. I heard the stairs creaking under the weight of someone, or something. With every step, I became more certain that whoever it was in the game was walking up my stairs in real life. I looked at my door, then back at the screen. The person walked to my door and it slowly opened. Staring over at my door, I saw it opening to reveal the darkness of my hallway. It was safe to say that I felt my life would soon end in a few minutes. And I was almost right. Not interested in my computer at this point, I heard footsteps, but no one was in the room. The light suddenly shut off. No, I said. Not real, it's just the wind. A cackling came from my computer. I looked over and saw that I was now in a pitch-black room with a small door at the end of the room. Placing my finger on the W key, I walked through and almost screamed at what I saw. A picture of me at my desk, playing. I moved my arm to reveal it was a video. No, not a video. It was a live feed. Every movement I've made was replicated on the screen. The need to turn my head was so tempting. I slowly craned my neck as I looked over. I looked to see nothing, just darkness. That was until something flashed into my eyes, but I managed to make out a face. A pair of sleep-deprived eyes and a smile. That smile was too wide. Those eyes looked too hungry. That face looked too much like my deepest nightmares. There was a pain in my neck. Then everything faded away. Waking up, I saw a weak sunlight coming through the window. My room was trashed and my computer was missing. Looking around, I saw everything broken. Going downstairs, I went into my living room to see my laptop closed. Going over it, I opened the lid to find a Polaroid of me. My face imprinted with terror. That must have been that flash. I tore up the photo and put the laptop away. I kept seeing flashes, followed by a loud banging. Yesterday morning, I was tired and went to my local doctor to see what was wrong. I was diagnosed with exploding head syndrome, and I've been told that I may have it for the rest of my life. Yet every time I sleep, I see it. I see that face. With every flash, I see it for a split second. Last night, I saw it in my room, watching me. I can't get into my account to unfriend myself. I can't even bring myself to open that computer up. Please, if you're in a game and someone with your exact username pops up, do not stay. Do not investigate. Leave the game immediately. I was stupid. Now I'm stuck with the same eyes as that face. So tired, yet I cannot get to sleep. Remember this tale before the same fate happens to you. And if it does, I'm deeply sorry. So sorry. If you see him, you are good as dead. I just want to start off by apologizing on the behalf of the Roblox Corporation. You see, I used to work there as a part-time admin and in the engineering department. and I was always the last guy to clean up after the others. No offense, but David Bazuki, you're cheap. Anyways, I'm writing this in the hopes someone will be aware of this story, rather than the fake explanations that have been spreading around about accounts getting hacked via gift cards or social engineering. And sorry for my language, but that's some ridiculous BS. I could write a whole essay explaining why that's impossible. The Roblox moderation would have to be run by complete buffoons for something like that to happen. My apologies, that's an insult to buffoons. Anyways, I used to work very early in the days of the ROBLOX Corporation. David Bazuki is a very imaginative guy, and it shows with the various projects he had planned. In the mid-90s, David created multiple artificial intelligence programs. And let me tell you this, the human mind is a very unique wonder of nature. I can see why Roblox's motto is powering imagination. The mind of an artificial intelligence, however, is something even more fragile than the human mind. Just one misstep and the AI goes haywire. David Bazuki made an AI in the mid-1990s. It was also technically the first Roblox user ever created. Then 20 years later, near the present time, there was an incident revolving around this AI being set free and roaming in the Roblox metaverse. Something still in the works, and it would have been David Bazuki's most ambitious project. Now this AI, it's not something stupidly cliche like John Doe. No, this AI does not hack accounts. It is, however, doing something very interesting and horrifying at the same time. As you see, my admin account was also taken by this AI. I know this AI, very personally in fact. Many of the employees there had gone missing, and ever since then many of them were said to be working from home. And I obviously do not believe that. Something weird is going on in the ROBLOX Corporation. I managed to travel to a different country because I was afraid I would be this AI's next target. The AI does not hack per se. It really has no need to. It's actually borrowing these accounts. Being an ex-Roblox employee, I could monitor my account. And trust me when I say this, but you do not want to meet this AI. I do on many nights believe that I have the burden of getting rid of this AI, which could end up being what kills humanity altogether. I don't know who to tell, or who to even go to, so I guess I've ended up here in this forum. I was able to pinpoint down where the AI is, which, no surprise, was at the ROBLOX Corporation in California. In order to get the information I needed, I developed my own dummy AI called Cheesecake. Yeah, I'm not entirely good with names. How it works is that the AI wouldn't see this particular AI as a threat. Cheesecake is basically an empty shell full of encrypted code. Or in real-world terms, think of the story of the Trojan horse. The AI won't be able to know what I'm doing, at least not for the time being. I've had it plugged into the Roblox metaverse, which is basically the Roblox version of the whole entire Earth. For some time now, Cheesecake had been sending me encrypted information back and forth. From the information it has sent me, the AI seems to be making a code for a Dominus. When translating the information into words, the name of this item was called Dominus Sigma. Now, from what I can remember, there are other Dominuses that Roblox has yet to release, and since I don't work there anymore, I don't have to keep it a secret. The unreleased Dominuses include Dominus Delta, Lambda, Mu, and a cancelled Dominus called Dominus Neo, which was very close to being released early 2018, until Roblox pulled the plug because the Dominus seemed to glitch out at odd times. The Dominus was part of a cancelled event called the Deep Sea. The final two Dominuses were Dominus Alpha and Dominus Omega. These would have been the final two Dominuses Roblox would release. So once I got the information, it seemed to be nonsense at first. The code in this specific Dominus was designed to keep the data of anyone's Roblox avatar and their ID. This is the reason why certain accounts seemingly have either no Robux spent or anything wrong with the account in general. The AI is using the Dominus to lock out the accounts, and it uses it as a puppet of sorts. But the reason why made no sense at all. Why take these accounts? I decided I would fish on a lake in the middle of nowhere. I needed the loneliness of the great outdoors. The stress seemed to lessen more or less as I fished. The nice serene waters. The beautiful thought of being secluded in the middle of nowhere calmed my nerves. However, nothing anymore made any sense. As I dozed off later that night, that Dominus was still on my mind. Dominus Sigma. David had actually mentioned a long-cancelled project. He had the idea for a Dominus, one that would clone any Roblox user, and mimic the behavior of that user, even when the player was not online. Essentially, creating an AI based solely on the movement and the behavior of the player. This, of course, failed, due to the AI overwhelming basically any server it was in. It's very possible someone may have seen this phenomena. The developers love to publicly test things out, even when it's not 100% complete. And with Roblox's cheap budget, the Dominus couldn't complete the task without glitching every 5 minutes. And somehow, Richard Rowe finally made it work. Alright, I'm writing this portion of my experience a week later from my previous entry. So recently I've been having odd nightmares, or perhaps they're an out-of-body experience, which is something I'm starting to believe is what's actually happening. They felt way too realistic. I wouldn't have given it much thought if it weren't for what happened last night. After I had been done with the information that Cheesecake had sent me, there was a very worrying number of users that had been apparently, quote-unquote, hacked. There were at least 2,000 accounts, including mine, which seemed to have been compromised, just stuck there in the metaverse. The even weirder part was that there was another user. It was another AI. The user's identity was known as Rust_010. I personally never knew how many AIs were made. I knew David made a Krampus AI for a Christmas event, but that apparently failed. Starting to think of it, every AI that David has ever made just seemed to fail. Chills crawled all the way down my spine. Was it just a coincidence that David never had one successful AI that works? I was tired out of my mind, so I decided I would sleep for the night. I woke up in the middle of the night. I kept hearing footsteps heading into my room. I tried to move, but I couldn't. I tried to talk, but it felt like I had no control over my body. At first, I thought it was sleep paralysis, until I see 4 to 5 humanoid figures on the side of my bed. I swear, they look exactly like the Arthro avatars that are available in Roblox. One of them was the freaking Davy Bazooka avatar. Another was completely different from the rest. It looked like some kind of fish reptile humanoid hybrid. It put its claw over my face. At this point, I was losing it. A small whirring sound came from the creature's hand, until I felt it. A needle was going through my forehead. The pain was unbearable. The needle kept drilling through the front of my skull, and that's all I could remember until I passed out. When I woke up, it was still nighttime. At this point, I thought that I simply had a bad dream, that the events of what had happened last night was some crazy fever dream. As I rose from my bed, the light of the moon filtering through the window, I saw that it was a starless night. It was all a dream, was all I could repeat in my head. Then another realization hit in. I decided I would get up and take a walk to gather my thoughts. As I made it to the large pane window of my apartment, my reality completely shattered. Wait, large pane window? Apartment? I live in the cabin in the middle of nowhere. Then I saw it. The square figure reflecting on the glass. It was me. I was my Roblox avatar. My exact avatar. I started to question my existence. Was this world just a figment of my imagination? Did I die and ended up with the devil himself? I tried to wake up from my nightmare, But this was my waking nightmare.
Tell me, how do you feel?
That was the exact moment I realized this was not a dream, as I could feel the chill go down my spine. That voice, I turned around and there it was, in the darkness of the corridor. The darkness blanketing him. The figure of the old Roblox avatar. The Dominus. He was wearing that Dominus. He started approaching me. My instincts told me to run away from the building into the outside of the night air. The city was dead. The Roblox city was dead. It seemed as if I were the only person in existence. The only person alive. I looked behind, and to my horror, that figure was right behind me, just standing there. Then I passed out. I woke up this time. I had to feel myself to make sure I was actually alive, and not in another dream. I went to my computer. Cheesecake had the information for me to decode, or so I thought. The message this time was in English, as if the AI finally figured out what Cheesecake does.
Tell me, how do you feel?
The message was sent from a user named Richard Rowe. I unplugged my computer and just left it at that. For the next few nights, I kept having that recurring out-of-body experience. First, I would wake up in that apartment, see that figure and run away. This would repeat for the next 3 days, until on the 4th day, something even more horrifying happened. While running, I looked behind me. Richard Rowe was not there. I tumbled down and looked at what I ran into. It was another player. I think they were just as surprised as I was at seeing another live person. They kept screaming and asking for help, until I heard the sickening sound of metal piercing through flesh. It was the creature that had put the needle into my head. It lifted the person up with one arm, lifting the body over its head. Blood was slowly trickling down the creature's arm. It started walking towards me, with a long blade slowly protruding from its wrist.
I need him alive,
a voice said. Richard Rowe appeared this time with no Dominus. The creature growled, seemingly in disappointment of its final kill being interrupted.
Leave and help Epsilon with the test subjects.
The creature stabbed the victim with its other claw, and with a swift motion, it split them in half. Red liquid raining over its face, as if it were a child playing in the rain. The creature looked in my direction, turned around and left walking into the darkness. Richard Rowe didn't even bat an eye towards me. A belt glowed around him. The words Sigma echoed.
Test successful.
I woke up in the real world this time, and because of that night I am writing this now. Just in case anything happens to me, I would like to know what in the world is going on. None of this makes absolutely no sense. What is that AI doing? Later throughout the day I received an email from someone whose name seemed eerily familiar. The email said the following. Hello, fellow colleague. I'm sorry to be mailing you at such an odd moment, but let me introduce you to myself. My name is Ricky Goldsworth, and it seems like you're another victim of Richard Rowe. But I know you were an employee for Roblox and one of David's brightest engineers. I figured out Richard Rowe's plan, the final judgment. Please, I need you to give me anything vital that will help me stop Richard Rowe. The email went on and talked about how Richard Rowe managed to make a majority of employees disappear. The AI is also responsible for the odd updates, like the new avatars and the new logo. I was both relieved and petrified. Someone else in this world knows what's going on, but what'll happen to me and everyone else? I decided I would trust this Ricky Goldsworth guy. At least it will lift the burden of having to destroy this AI. I downloaded every file onto Cheesecake. If Richard Rowe was able to use Dominus Sigma, then it's reasonable to say that Richard Rowe has access to other unreleased items and Dominus. I sent the file to Ricky Goldsworth. in the hopes that he knows what to do with it. After that, I kept getting those out-of-body experiences, each one getting worse after the next. The creature kept eyeing me, however, unable to actually do anything. Each person to misbehave was tortured. After all, they couldn't really die. Richard Rowe, however, was not interested in the behavior of the humans. It's almost as if it did all this to prove something, that even when the soul is outside the body, it can still exist after a quote-unquote death. I'm still not sure what Richard Rowe's final judgment is, but it's not good. If your account has been compromised, and you've been having out-of-body experiences, then it's already too late for you. I was 12 years old at the time. I'm always shy to talk to people. At that age, I wasn't into rumors, neither creepy stories. I play Roblox every day. I have great friends, like any other players. One day I played Natural Disaster. Now, whenever you join a game, you see the players list beside the screen. All usernames appear. This one, however, caught my eye. It was a user with the smile emoticon as a username. I thought that might be a part of the game, a guide bot for the game, but it was an actual player on that account. I really didn't care about rare usernames. I saw the leaderboard of the player's username on the server. The smile user had 21,960 wins. I was impressed. I decided to talk to the user. Hey, can you teach me how to play this game? It would really be helpful. He just spammed smiley faces at me. So I responded, "So you like spamming smiley faces?" I left that conversation, being annoyed about those smiley faces. I hate people who do these faces like the smiley face or frowny face. It really creeps me out. Day 2, I got a message from the smile user. I obviously ignored it because I didn't know who that stranger is. Anyways, I was watching Roblox videos. I avoided the conspiracy theory. Something related to Roblox. Anyways, I was about to join Speedrun 2. Smile joined the game and he finally said a real word. He said, "Why did you leave me?" I replied, "I don't know who you are. Stay away from me, creep." Now, being 12 years old, I avoided creeps, stalkers, etc. I mostly don't want people to put their problems to me. I knew this guy was just messing with me. I checked into Smile's profile. He approximately had 510 followers. Now, if you search this user right now, he got terminated. I decided to friend him. Regrets are spilling onto my head. He messaged me, but the last sentence always ends up with a smiley face. The smile user said, "You will never see the day of light." I responded, "I friended you to ask if you're a troller, cause if not, it's not funny to do that to other people." This is when the message gets weirder and the text font became scarier. He said, "I know where you are." I replied, "Really? Spit it out then. Where do I live?" My stomach dropped. He actually knew where I lived. I said, "Cousin, if this is you, it's starting to scare me." Now, when I say that, it's because my cousin likes to pull pranks by using alternate Roblox accounts. She always tries to scare me the best she can. I unfriended the smile user. So recently, I've been getting messages from unknown users such as smiley faces minion and etc. I don't know how to handle a situation like this. I've decided to uninstall Roblox on my PC. But only 3 days passed and the Roblox application has reappeared on my PC, which has bothered me. I slowly open Roblox, fingers shaking in fear, knowing I've done something I shouldn't have. I've missed 4 messages from the smile user.
If you don't friend me, I am going to hack you, and you will be like me. You are rude. I will ban you. Roblox is my father. so deal with it. Your account will suffer for eternity.
After reading them, I made sure I double-checked if he had any more sad or angry messages, and I reported the smile user to Roblox. His final message were just spammed smiley faces. I closed my PC and smashed it and threw it out the trash can. I was supposed to sell it, but I don't want to harm anyone. Soon 3 months passed by and I forgot about Roblox. My mom brought me a new computer with a very good keyboard. I opened it, just then I saw the icon, Roblox. I asked my mom if she installed Roblox for me. She said, "No, why? Don't you like your new computer?" I said, "Okay then, Mom, I love it so much. Thanks for buying it." As I opened the Roblox application, which was already installed, my account was already logged into my main account. But there's no smile user anymore. No more creepy messages. I've never seen the smile user to this day. It overwhelmed me, but this was internal suffering for me. I didn't get my hands to Roblox. Just a few weeks ago, I came across something on the popular page of Roblox that shouldn't have been there. It was a game to say the least. Not one of those bot-infested free Robux bandwagons. The game has since been taken down, but I will still try to write down everything I can remember happening on there before its removal. I was on the edge of the school year, ready to accomplish all the fun things summer break had in store for me. One of those many things was video games. I know, just another stereotypical teenager. My mother, of course, didn't want me associating with any electronics, so she planned on taking my Xbox 360 and other fun-filled devices for the time being. She left my phone, however, as I had friends I would go out with a lot, and she would call me every once in a while to make sure things were okay. Not that there was anything truly magnificent on there anyways. Aside from all the useful apps I didn't plan to make use of, there was one I never considered purchasing in the place of my console games, until the start of summer break. That game was Roblox. My friends laughed at the idea, but upon looking at it, it seemed to offer a lot for being free to play. Plus, I didn't have money, so Minecraft and GTA San Andreas were out of the question, and those were my favorites. So as I was seeking refuge under the roof from the blazing hot Saturday, I installed it. I was actually thrilled, to be honest. Unlike my friends who always thought that games under the rating T for teens were babyish, I really like the idea of an online game that allowed users from around the world to create practically anything they could imagine, though it did require some skill. But I wasn't here to develop anything. I was there to have a great time, and before long I made an account. At the time, I had a guest account, which means I couldn't converse with any players or try on cool accessories. I don't mind, I could always make an account if I wanted to, but I was just trying out the game and thought about deleting it later on, but I didn't. As summer break traveled along, I found myself playing it more and more. I made a large amount of progress on games like Jailbreak and Bee Swarm Simulator, which I was fairly good at, if I do say so myself. I even convinced a few of my friends to hop on, and we had a great time. But all of that fun didn't last long. As the first week of summer break came to a close, I was scrolling through the Roblox website, looking for new games to play. I should have been in bed. It was 9:52 p.m. when I noticed a new game had appeared on the popular page. There were no pictures, and the title simply read, Town of. Surely the title must have been too long to fit in such a small space, so I tapped on it out of curiosity. The game was created by a user called BB727. Oddly enough, the title was no more than Town of. I quickly clamped my hands over my mouth, coming to the realization that my parents could still be asleep. I paused a moment to make sure there was no response to the noise I just made, and quickly went back to studying the screen. I scrolled down to see the description, and it simply read, Population, nothing. There were no numbers indicating how many people lived in this strange town. Weird, I thought. And at least 3,070 people are playing it. Or maybe they're just bots. I shrugged absent-mindedly and tapped the play button. It was probably one of the greatest mistakes I made now that I think about it. Upon joining, I was met with distorted music, almost like some weathered radio signal. I immediately shut off the volume to avoid waking anybody up. That's when I really wished I had earphones. But my mother also confiscated those for some weird reason. I skimmed around the perimeter using a third-person view. The skybox was cloudy and red, resembling magma almost. Random blocks and other bits were scattered around the area, but there were no buildings to be seen in the practically desolate green landscape. Where was the town? As I continued to explore my surroundings, I began to feel even more unsettled. The fact that the bots would be on here was a mystery to me. Usually, the creators of games like these had something for sale. Maybe admin commands, or a sweet item of some sort. This game had nothing like that. No signs of anything special advertising a cool trinket at the cost of some Robux. Maybe this was just some sort of publicity stunt. The creator of the game probably just wants people to check out his creation. Though it seemed like a lame idea, seeing as you could literally do nothing but walk around, until your ears bled from the horrific sounds that played non-stop. Did you know that if you stay in a place out of your comfort for way too long, you start hearing and seeing things that aren't really there? That's what I'm told at least, and I almost believe it after what transpired during my time on the game. I began hearing hysterical crying embedded within the white noise. It sounded like a full-grown man. Much to my freaky realization, that wasn't the only thing I heard, however. Incoherent whispers filled the air, and I absolutely swear I could hear my username being spoken every few seconds. I honestly don't know why I refused to leave the game right then and there. By then, it was 10:30, and I felt like I was going to wet myself. Nevertheless, I persisted in my exploration, and before long a few other players joined. I guess I wasn't the only one curious as to why the game existed. I tried communicating with them, but they simply ignored me. Usernames were disabled, so I wasn't able to tell who they were by looking at them. But I was relieved. The last thing I wanted to do was play alone. The feeling of relief didn't last long, however, as they left shortly afterwards. I was done with this game. I couldn't believe that I had wasted my time. I exited the game and went to find something else to do. Somewhere around 10:50, I received a friend request. Like many friend requests, I would decline them. But this one was different. The second I saw who it was from, a chill was down my spine. The friend request was sent by B_B727. His avatar was the classic pale-haired character, except with green skin. The creator of that forsaken game, despite my sudden fear, I was in no mood to miss such a case-closing experience. And so I clicked accept. I immediately received a message upon befriending the mysterious user. The message contained 2 words: "Come back." A sense of paranoia welled in my stomach. I mustered up the courage to respond, despite not knowing how to do so. Hello? I typed reluctantly.
Why did you leave?
B_B727 responded. Nothing was happening. I admitted. I got bored.
That's a shame,
B replied, though his voice was a complete mystery. I could almost sense the eerie, monotone voice he spoke through every word he typed. You know, you could get banned for that, I said, reminiscing on the fact that shoving your own game into a popular section of the site through a horde of bots was against the rules.
What do you mean?
B asked. Oh, you know, making your game end up on the popular page by getting bots to join. It's not really fair to aspiring creators that actually take the time to make a quality game. Do you know what I'm saying?
The townspeople aren't bots,
B exclaimed.
They're real people like you and me. I've never been so offended in my entire career.
What the heck are you talking about? I inquired, deeply annoyed.
Don't you know how lucky you are? For every user who plays on this website, my game only appears for them once. Once, I tell you. And they either ignore it or they take the time to join.
I paused for a moment, considering what the mysterious user just said. I went back to the games page and scrolled down to see it was created in 2010, and already had over 10,000 visits. I clicked on the server list, and to my horror, I saw a variety of different players, all of the different shapes and sizes, colors and personalities. There was no way these could be bots. I went back to chat and confronted B once again. How did you get all these people to join your game? Did you send bots to hack these accounts? How? How did you do all of this? If you were dumb enough to give the game this information, a bot would sign into your account and begin spamming links to the same game. Only in the case of this creepy game, it already knows your password, and you just have to be dumb enough to click on it. Who knew how many ads and links were being broadcasted now? This was probably the biggest raid ever in the history of Roblox, and I was speaking to the seed who planted it all. Only this wasn't what I thought it was. The truth was much, much worse.
The question you should be asking isn't how, it's why.
A lump formed in my throat. I couldn't take any more of this. I left the chat, deleted the mysterious user from my friends list, and finally shut off my phone, shoving it in between two pillows, followed by slipping into my bed sheets. Despite all that happened, I got to sleep easily. It was no beauty rest, however. I was confronted by nightmares of all sorts. Glimpses of the game I planned on never returning to. Dismembered corpses of my friends' Roblox avatars. And worst of all, the face of B_B727. Only more horrific. A gelatinous, black liquid oozed from his unnaturally large eye ducts, and his gaping mouth bared jagged teeth with bits of rotting flesh. It's amazing how the mind can enhance your greatest fears. They can turn spiders into giant arachnids. They can turn clowns into malicious serial killers. They can turn a simple Roblox avatar into a nightmarish entity. I couldn't help but wonder if I should have done anything. If this was some widespread attack on one of the biggest online games, couldn't there have been a way to warn the ever-growing community about it? What I was most confused about was about the many individuals whose accounts supposedly got hacked. Why hadn't they said anything? There were thousands of them playing at the time. Surely most of them found out about what was going on. All these thoughts manifested themselves into one massive headache, which soon sent me into deep sleep. Upon waking up, I immediately grabbed my phone and logged back into Roblox. I wanted to know everything was okay, that everything I had experienced was just a dream. Everything looked normal. I searched up the game to see if it was still there. It took me a while to find it, but I did. Much to my relief, the game was under review. But the weird thing was that the server list was still filled with players. Had the Roblox Corporation not noticed this? I went to B's user page, but it was forward. I tried to get access over and over, but the same error message kept popping up. Was he banned or not? Oh well. I thought, as long as he can't bother me. That's when I noticed something off. I don't know why I didn't see it beforehand. On the top right side of my screen, my notification box was jam-packed with several friend requests. I scrolled through a few pages, wondering why I was so popular all of a sudden. Could it have something to do with the fact that B was one of my friends at one point? Could all these users have known about him? I examined the top friend request and clicked the accept button. Right on cue, I received a message. How long was this guy waiting on me to notice him? I laughed, but my laughter was cut short when I read what was sent to me. Come back. My blood ran cold. I could hardly process what I just read. Come back. Does that mean what I think it means? I quickly exited the chat box and removed the creepy user from my friends list. Upon clicking on another page, I noticed I had even more friend requests. I shuddered. I accepted at least 10 of them, and upon doing so, I received the same message. Come back. This can't be happening, I screamed in my head. Were these really the residents of B's mysterious town? They had to be bots. It was the only plausible explanation for all of this. Enough was enough. B wasn't going to stop me from enjoying one of my most favorite games. I logged out of my account and made a brand new one. Now you may be thinking, why abandon your account that you've spent so many months on, working your way to the top on so many great games? What about all the progress? Just understand that if you were in this horrific situation I was in, you would at least consider it. Of course, making another account was just another door to more terrors. Once I gained access to my profile page, I saw something that shouldn't have been there. This unnatural sighting almost made me lose my lunch. I never thought I would see that forsaken game again. I'm sure you know which one I'm talking about. I felt like I was going to go insane. I stared at the entrance of the game's page for what seemed like hours. If they wanted me to join so bad, I might as well yield. I wanted nothing more for them but to leave me alone, so I can enjoy myself. At this point, I only had two options. 1. Abandon Roblox completely, or 2. Become the resident of the town of. However that works. I chose option 2. Well, not yet. It couldn't be bad, right? I reluctantly clicked on the page and was brought face to face with a picture that hadn't been there before. It was out in plain fields with a familiar underworldish skybox and ruins of buildings made from white bricks. I couldn't believe I didn't realize what those were meant for. Still, this odd discovery failed to make me feel any better. B's avatar was standing in the center, and surrounding him were hundreds of other players, all different shapes and sizes and accessories. All of them were staring directly at me. I couldn't help but believe that every one of them was a normal player like me, but brainwashed to live a lifestyle they couldn't ever get out of. That's what I theorized, at least. If this was some sort of prank, it would have stopped by now. They already made their point clear. The chances of me giving up were pretty high, so they would have stopped when I was in my original account. I know in the beginning I said that the game has been removed, but still, who knows how many victims it claimed, and I could be its next one. I'm not sure what fate I might face. Maybe my computer will get hacked and my IP will be revealed. As I write this, I still have the tab up, and the play button jar. The mystery can be solved with a click of a button. I'm just afraid of what will happen. It has been removed. That doesn't mean it won't appear for any of you. I'm afraid I can't tell you what to do if it does. No matter how hard I try, I can't get rid of it. As said by many, curiosity killed the cat. That's the kind of situation I'm in right now. You may be dying to know what's going on, and despite my fear, I'm going to find out. Plus, I may not have a choice. Because just the other day my mother received an email on her phone. She was awfully confused by its context, so she showed it to me and it read, "Are you coming home yet?" The message was from an email user called B_B727. Before I get into the story, let me introduce myself. I am an average human being like all of you guys, and I do not script nor make anything, so don't ask me for that junk. But my dream is to become a famous Roblox player, a famous developer to be exact, but I don't even know how to script, so that's not gonna happen. But they are pretty interesting to read about. But I love creepy stories like John Doe and Jane Doe, Annie and Jerry. Nowadays, I stay away from that because I never know if it's a prank or some sort of joke. The reason for all that is in this story. If you were to go back in time to a wrong mistake you made in the past, what would it be? Where would you go? What would you do to change it? Would you make the same mistake twice? Honestly, I wish I could do that after I made this big mistake. And no, I did not murder anyone, nor did I commit a felony or cause a relationship to be destroyed. It might sound petty and not very important, but it has to do with something that relates to media. Allow me to explain. Rick was a very silly person. He joined April 12, 2007. He would usually wear the big head, but he wasn't wearing it right now. Usually he would say, "I like cheese" as a joke, or "oof" as a joke. "I like cheese" was one of the things he would say all the time, probably because of the cheese on his head. I met him back in 2017 and me and him were good friends. He was a very kind person. Whenever I got bullied, he'd always have my back. He had a lot of friends and followers. He would always give people compliments, and whenever anything bad happens, he would always have my back. But something strange with me and him happened. Note, this happened back in 2018, so it all began when he said, "Oh hi, join me on Crossroads." I was already playing a game, so I refused and kept on playing by myself. After a while, he texted me, saying, "Why didn't you join me? The shadows don't like that." All of a sudden, he spams frowny faces followed with, "I like cheese" for some strange reason. Then he said something strange again. He said,
"The shadows are coming for you."
Then I said, "What?" Then he said,
"The shadows shall engulf you."
I thought that this was some sick joke pulled by the user. Anyways, I told him, "Okay, you're freaking me out." Then Rick said,
"The shadows said they dislike you and want to kill you."
Then I said, "Dude, what's going on? This is not you, are you okay?" Then he replied with nothing. A few minutes later, his avatar changed unexpectedly to plain black. He didn't have the cheese on his head. His status completely changed, and his username was changed to "Don't Struggle." I was freaked out by this. I had many questions. What was he thinking? Is he getting hacked? What happened? Is he okay? He texted me 10 minutes later saying,
"Let us play a game."
Then he went into his place. He then said,
"Join for a surprise."
I joined as a creepy face suddenly grew. My heart pounded. He was in the game. He simply said,
"Oh, hello there, friend."
All I could muster was a simple hi. After that he said,
"Hey buddy, let's play a little game."
My heart was pounding faster as I slowly typed "OK" randomly. I got teleported to another game called Let's Play. I started off in a cabin. I walked around a bit until I found the bathroom. I walked inside and saw a mirror. The mirror was dirty but worked perfectly. After looking at myself for a few seconds, the bathroom went dark. For a few moments I just stood there waiting until the lights went back on. After the lights went back on, the mirror changed. Instead of showing my profile, it showed my corpse. Yes, my corpse. A few seconds later, everything was normal. I wasn't even scared. I just had a ton of freaking questions. I tried to exit, but I couldn't. I even tried to unplug my computer, but somehow it still was working. So I was forced to stay inside the game. After a while, Rick came in and said,
"Mike, that's my name. Remember that time when you died?"
I texted him, "How do you know my name?" He then said,
"Even my eyes have eyes, Mike."
Suddenly, I got teleported to another game, the title just being Morse code. So I started off in a black room. The room was nothing but, well, black. He then says,
"You have stolen my heart, but that's okay. I have 3 more in the freezer.
I said, "What do you want from me, you creep?" He then said,
Is it weird that I like the sound of screaming?
After that I said, "Okay, you're really freaking me out, man." Then he said,
You're next. No one will ever believe you.
Then my computer abruptly faded into black. Then my computer went back on for a split second. For that split second, I saw Rick cutting my head off. My computer went black again. Then it went back on for another split second. This time he was holding my head in his bloody hands while saying,
You have a beautiful head. It will complete my collection.
Basically, my computer keeps on flickering. Then for another split second he said,
I always knew it will end like this.
He kept saying morbid stuff like this on and on. I just watched in terror as these messages just popped up. Suddenly, my computer crashed. I tried to turn it on, but it didn't work. So I had to wait 5 hours for it to work. But something was different. My computer wallpaper was black, and it had a picture of an SCP smile. And every single time I play Roblox, my avatar was completely black. When I tried to change it, it says error, so I was forced to wear black and look like a creep. If I were to create a new account, then it would also be black. The front page was also changed. It was the 2007 front page, but I liked it because I'm an old fan of Roblox. But the bad part is that every single time I join a game, it sends me to Let's Play, so I wasn't able to play Roblox for 3 months until it started working again. I immediately unfriended Rick, so this never happens again. Nowadays, I feel a lot better. I don't let this one incident affect my overall feelings of Roblox. But there is something in me that makes me regret not joining Rick. It doesn't bother me as much nowadays, but it's one thing I wish I could go back in time to fix. Shattered. That's how I felt in such a moment. The moment where everything you worked for agonizingly collapses around you, and you are held as a spectator to such horror. Unfortunately, all were there to witness such a pivotal moment. The moment I suffered an ignominious defeat. Many were distraught on all the Robux they had wasted on such a game, and expressed their rage across the internet. Few chose to accept it and imagine as if it were a rebirth, moving on to its plethora of copies. The others remained oblivious towards the impact of my game, and played other games as usual. I, on the other hand, was left distraught. I had no way to pay my rent, and my account was terminated. Losing millions of Robux worth unlimiteds and nearly 3 million Robux from game passes. The pillar I stood on above all else dissipated. As I stood on it, I stared at the website for a few moments, devastated as ever. I reminisced about all the games I had played, ranging from Sword Fight on the Heights and Red vs. Blue vs. Green vs. Yellow, to newer games including Prison Life, The Mad Murderer, and Roblox High School. I felt completely nostalgic, and when I remembered buying OBC, aka Outrageous Builders Club, immediately after its release in 2009. An entire world I had created for myself reduced to ashes. These memories were the only remnants remaining of such a glorious world. I would be the only one who knew of these memories and would hold them close to my heart. Everyone else had content deleted, remaining instead. Without access to this abandoned virtual world I constructed, I was nothing as well. I was just as much of an empty, hollow shell as my terminated account was. But was I truly deserving of such a punishment?
Stop exploiting. You obviously have no aim. Using idiotic exploit engines like Synapse aren't going to help you. Gosh, what a noob.
You think I'm going to stop? You honestly want to see my aim? Okay, let's try it out.
Aimbot, dummy.
Aw, another annoyed 3-year-old. How sweet. Are you upset because I shot your sweet vampire head to death? Mate, she left. I know you're my friend and all, but you're kind of harsh. It's all in good fun. It's not like her reports are going to work anyway. I'm just concerned about you. You shouldn't be abusing your ability to manipulate Lua. Instead, you could just use your programming skills on creating a game, opposed to creating a custom exploit GUI. I think I'm alright for the moment, Red. And besides, I enjoy triggering little kids. If you intend upon having such an influence, knock yourself out. I still think you could be an extraordinary developer. Maybe if you weren't, you... And he left the server. Of course he did. I see you got OBC again. What do you plan on using it on? It seems useless to place it on an account that will probably get banned for exploiting. Oh, Red, I didn't notice you. Well, I finally decided to make my own game, and a group too. I intend to make you co-owner if you join. Really? Thanks so much, Grant. So, what game are you making? Okay, wait for it. I'm going to make a game where each player can choose a character from hundreds of different games to fight against one another. No, they won't simply appear as Robloxians, but also as sprites of these characters. I'll use from all over the Nintendoverse, the Robloxverse, the Minecraftverse. I'll create 2D sprites from them and a few others. That sounds like an excellent idea. It's basically like Ultra Super Smash Bros. From every large game or game company. I'm so glad. Your game shall be far more superior to any other. I can help you build too. That would be awesome. You building the game would be a great help. Wait, shouldn't you use a different account considering you used this to exploit? This account has a long history dating back to 2008, and I already bought OBC, so I'm sticking with it. I'll talk to you later, Red. Bye. Red. What? Wait, since when did you have a Dominus Rex? I traded other limiteds for it. Anyway, we're about to release a game from beta into alpha. I know you've been inactive ever since we hopped into the beta stage, but I want you to see how much the game has grown. OMG guys, the creator of Blaze Fighters is on. I need a screenshot with him. See what I mean? Let's just go on my private server on Murder Mystery 2 and discuss the game. Okay. Aren't you simply satisfied with the fact your game has done extraordinarily well? I mean, come on, Meep City is trash compared to ours. Don't you feel simply superior to all of those other horde game creators? Red, do you notice that? What? I think the fame and recognition might be getting to your head. First of all, I wasn't referring to that, and secondly, I meant just follow me, and use the no clip and fly commands. Where are we going? Do you see the structure under the map? You mean the Easter egg? I never implemented that as an Easter egg, and that sure wasn't here when you were a lead builder. Indeed, but does it not appear amazing to you? Besides, wouldn't it help your game appear more intriguing to the public eye? Blaze Fighters, the haunted game. It will be every YouTuber's clickbait dream. People will flock to your game, isn't that what you want anyway? Let it remain. And this is exactly why you're the co-owner, because of your beautiful ideas. Now, I'm gonna leave and work on the game. Go act as an admin for servers. It's basically your job now. Sure it is. Hey, you know what they're saying about you on your public Discord server, right? I'm certain they simply can't appreciate how amazing all of my features and personality traits are. I'm pretty sure one of those personality traits aren't appealing. You know, you're kind of a... Tags. You know what I mean. I'll DM you later. Anything else I need to know about my slightly tarnished reputation? A lot more. People are calling you greedy and so many other things. And yet they continue to play my game. Alas, Red, they shall never appreciate my genius. They'll always enjoy wasting their Robux on amusing things in my game. That's how it works. Also, you should be far more concerned about your stolen assets and the fact that you're becoming a highly controversial figure. What if they find out about when you exploited a few years ago? Your reputation is at risk of being far more than slightly tarnished. I honestly could care less. I have the ability to manipulate the young majority of people on Roblox. You know that as well. They'll switch sides with the snap of a finger. It's far too simple with them. As for the others, we'll shoot those planes down immediately. It's as if you're worried about an immediate alien attack. That will never happen, and these children referred to as toxic kids will never find out much either. I'm starting to realize why you're such a controversial figure. Whatever do you mean? I mean, I wondered why I ever admired you in the first place. Gosh, how ignorant must I have been to blindly follow you. I'm unfriending you here and on Discord. You're not worth my time. I can't believe I ever let someone worthless assist me with anything. How a mere fly friends with a ferocious beast, I'll never comprehend. I'm revoking your administrative privileges as well. I'll make you suffer for such an impertinent manner. Good luck with that. And one last thing. Kick Red Lord 012. You. Oh, the mentally unstable creator of Blaze Fighters. You know what you did. What did I do exactly? You told everyone about it. Specification required. What exactly is it? They know about April Fools. 2012? Indeed. They deserve to know. They don't. They never should have known. That was between us. You shouldn't have told anyone. The thing is, I didn't. Why should I believe you? I should have. I should have told them all about everything you've done wrong. I should have ruined it for all of those who idolized you. I should have told them how you assisted Mr. Rowe in gaining a high rap. I should have told them how you exploited endlessly. I should have told them how you stole from people, all those things to take you down. I should have seized the chance. You made me your punching bag those months ago. In fact, you did it yourself. There is no cover of anonymity to conceal you any longer. You chose this path. You don't mind, do you? After all, we are mere flies in your eyes. But to us, you're nothing more than a serpentine. You're willing to emerge victorious above all else, oblivious to the consequences. Or maybe you're not. Maybe you actually enjoyed this newfound fame. You think I enjoy this? My actions weren't justified, but why would I relish the idea of being attacked? Because you don't mind being controversial if people know your name. You enjoy being mischievous. You're sadistic. You love being annoying if not hurting others. I've changed over that time. No, you haven't. It's haven't with an apostrophe. You're actually becoming far worse. I could say the same about you. Knowing you has changed me. You made me better. You taught me something. Revenge is justified. What do you mean? That part of me has long been somewhere, hiding in plain sight. You mean, like I said, you've done that yourself. Red, what the heck did you build? Ever bother looking in the mirror? And that should answer your question. I never realized how ignorant you were. The model that I left in there as a final surprise. What did you think of it? I thought that it represented the deranged person you are and your malicious intentions. Wrong. It serves as a poignant reminder of what you are. A manipulative, sadistic, and psychopathic leader. Seems like we have something in common. Unlike you, I can do as I like without any worry. Unlike you, I thrive in terror without a single consequence. Unlike you, I actually know how to manipulate others after all. I did it to you. I'm not oblivious to this world as you are. People know I exist, and yet never know my true embodiment in this digital world. Think about it like this. Imagine if we were playing Roblox Dodgeball. People would simply evade the balls by jumping out of the way or throwing balls at their enemies, and hitting them because they possess the drive to win. I prefer to hide in their shadows to tell them what to do, and reap the benefits. Who are you? You're not the Red I remember. Still having trouble understanding with your minuscule brain? I jump from pillar to pillar, finding a new victim to hold captive in my grasp. You're simply like the rest of them. No one ever realizes it's a facade. Once I'm provided with what I need from each person, I'm quick to watch as their pillar collapses, watching them as they slowly fade into obscurity. It entices me. I was never innocent like Little Red. Well, you probably won't last for an eternity. I trusted you. Trust. The fear of trust being broken, I simply savor it. That moment where someone finally notices me as the reason for their problems. Betrayal. Betrayal is a glorious moment, wouldn't you agree? It fuels my own pillar. It's recognition of the best kind. That's hardly more recognition than it is hatred. You're nothing more than a parasite. Parasites may perform the same actions as me, but they don't feel the same glorious euphoria of their actions. It's far too late to prevent me now. Your golden reputation is long gone. There's no point in saving it. You've done far too much damage. I've done the damage. Are you even thinking straight? I've already moved on from you. What about you? Can you accept that the dent in your reputation has tremendously increased? Or do you still intend to hold on the childlike sentiment that you will win this? I will win this. I won't be shot down any longer. Sure, I broke the terms of service protocol and tarnished my reputation, but that doesn't change anything. I'll be fine, you'll see. You merely intend to frighten me now. It won't work. I'm wondering if everything was merely coincidental. When everything goes back to normal, they will know about you. Maybe you'll understand the gravity of my situation. There will never be a normal for you. You're already admitting to numerous faults. You built this ditch for yourself. But I won't stop you from trying to prevent your fall though. It's simply amusing. Unfortunately, it isn't up to you to decide my fate. It's up to me to decide yours. And while you continue to pave the path of your downfall, I'll eternally remain on my pillar of steel. Powering imagination. The words from the Roblox Corporation. Those were the words that caused the death of 2 test subjects. In 1994, David Baszucki's knowledge revolution was at the height of making history. His ambition drove him to make projects that were considered impossible, or what some would consider unnatural. However, David was still dissatisfied. As much of a genius he was in simulating physics and games, the desire to go beyond that drove him to hire scientists from different parts of the world. After months of an exhaustive search, he finally found 2 scientists that would help him in creating his ultimate masterpiece. David recruited 2 people of absolute trust. Their names were Ruby and Lion. He also recruited 2 more people of absolute trust, one of them being me. We were in charge of making sure to execute protocols if anything were to go wrong. However, the definition of wrong was completely different from everyone on that fateful day. David had laid out the plans to everyone present that day. The procedure was that Ruby and Lion were to be subjected to a special project, which would be soon dubbed as the Mind Heist Experiments. A Russian neurologist helped David create a device that would serve as what today is known as virtual reality. However, the early headset was much different. The design had needles that were inserted to certain nerves in the subject's head and spine. The needles were placed in certain places around the back of the head and near the spine, in order for the subject to be quote-unquote paralyzed. In theory, this would fool the brain, thinking it could still move and those movements would be transferred to a virtual world. Thus the name Mind Heist. Test subject Ruby was placed on a medical bed and had the VR set first. She would be controlling a character named Jane Doe. According to the Canadian psychologist Field Notes, Ruby was the most excited of them all and pleaded to go first. David Baszucki had allowed it, but under the condition that she would respond if anything felt uncomfortable to her. David loaded a server titled Richard Rowe's Place. Richard Rowe was the dependent variable. We were testing how much an AI could mimic human emotion. Once the needles were inserted, test subject Ruby had completely gone limp. Jane Doe had spawned in first. David Baszucki's first question was whether or not she could hear him. The following recorded messages from Ruby followed. I hear you loud and clear, David. It feels so much like a dream. A peaceful one. The room was filled with a silent vibe of excitement. Next came Lion. The same procedure was repeated, and Lion would soon successfully spawn in as John Doe. David Baszucki gave them the reassurance that they could walk away from the experiment at any time, but both pushed forward with the experiment. David had brought in the experiment. User 0, aka Richard Rowe. John and Jane Doe both looked the same color-wise, but Richard Rowe had a red torso. David made sure that the Canadian psychologist and Russian neurologist kept things monitored and recorded. As he was about to present Richard Rowe to Ruby and Lion, David had specifically ordered for Lion and Ruby to identify themselves as John Doe and Jane Doe, respectively. Richard Rowe is an AI capable of understanding human emotions and even mimicking the current emotion the user is in at the very moment. If the experiment were to be successful, Richard Rowe would be implemented in one of David Baszucki's future games. Everything seemed great, but Richard Rowe had a fatal flaw. The design of the VR headset connected to the limbic system, and Ruby at the time suffered from a situational depression. Lion, on the other hand, was a perfectionist. It is unknown whether or not David knew about Ruby's mental state, or whether he designed Richard Rowe with that in mind. The following recorded conversation ensued between John Doe and Jane Doe.
Hello, I am Richard Rowe.
Hello there, Richard. My name is Jane Doe. And I'm John Doe.
Hello, Jane. John, welcome to my place.
This all feels like a dream.
What is a dream?
Are we sure we're not accidentally gonna make this AI question its reality? David Baszucki had given the go-ahead against the Canadian psychologist's better judgment. The test continued. What is your purpose, Richard Rowe?
My
The eerie pause caused silence in the room, in an already intense environment.
I bring happiness to players who join. Will you come to stay to play?
Of course, we will. Richard had generated what would soon be called a Dominus. This early prototype Dominus allowed Richard to create anything he wanted. Richard had generated a playground, a set of 3 swings, and 1 slide. After almost an hour, it seemed that the experiment would be a success. The AI enjoyed its time with Ruby and Lion. Eventually, the AI considered them friends. David had asked to tell the test subjects to prepare an exit procedure. But there was one more thing he wanted to test, a resetting test. David had asked Ruby and Lion to reset their characters to test the respawn. Once told, they reset and their characters fell apart. The AI started getting restless, asking where they'd both gone, displaying fear and sorrow. The Russian neurologist noted how fast and realistic the AI had learned emotions. Once test subjects John and Jane Doe respawned, the AI showed happiness once again when they appeared. The following recorded conversation ensued.
What happened to you, Jane and John?
We respawned. Is that not in your programming, Richard?
What is respawning?
When you die and reappear in the game. Are you alright, Richard?
Is death preventable?
What do you mean? We respawned. We're here with you.
Then why do you feel so sad, Jane? You have intentions to leave. Please, don't go.
David, anytime now. The Canadian psychologist pleaded with David to stop the experiment. Ruby's depression was being transferred to the AI. Richard was unable to comprehend that an outside world exists, and the AI was in a simulation. Richard was connected to the internet, so it had the freedom of curiosity. It was also able to access employee archives and files. However, David had prepared for the worst and erased the names of Ruby and Lion, so Richard could only name them by John and Jane Doe. The following argument was made between the test subjects and AI.
Jane Doe, thank you.
For what, Richard?
For being my friend. The strange friendship between us two. Forgive me. If you want to go, then I will let you. But I have the power of the light Dominus to bring you eternal life. I will be the one to destroy death.
It knows it's not a real person. Amazing. I will Jane Doe's conversation was cut short due to the Russian neurologist overriding and attempting to return consciousness back to the test subjects. They were still in paralysis, but their consciousness was stuck between the real world and the virtual world. The attempt was futile as Richard hacked the monitoring systems and prevented their consciousness from returning. Unfortunately, the overheating units caused a small explosion, and another fire would break the monitoring systems, losing Lion and Ruby forever. David pulled a cord on Richard Rowe's screen, and it turned off Richard Rowe's world. Test subjects Lion and Ruby's bodies would still remain in a vegetable state, and copies of the experiments were destroyed before the scientific community classified the experiment as unethical. Only one copy remained, and it was the one held by David. He felt it was his fault for creating Richard Rowe and risking the life of his daughter to bring her long-dead friend back to life through Richard Rowe. David would attempt the experiment one more time, only to lose to Richard in a psychological game. David imprisoned the AI in a Mac, leaving dust to feed on it, in hopes that one day his daughter and Lion will still be alive. I don't know where to start, honestly. Sure, people say start from the beginning, but in a situation like this one, where there is no definite place to start, where no matter how fantastical the story may be, people just won't believe it. That's not the point here. Believe the story or not, it happened. I'll just try my best. My family and I went to Nuremberg. You know, the city where speed limits are completely non-existent. We were there to visit family, and conveniently, the hotel was close to a church, which we would attend that week for Christmas. I'm not religious by any means. Sure, I was raised to believe in God. We stayed in a very old castle-like hotel that looked to be made in the 1800s, but looks can be deceiving. It was very modern from the inside. Once we got in our room, me and my little brother started jumping on the couch, our mother scolding us. Sig verhalten, which was behave in German. I don't understand why you have to speak to us in German, I retorted. Look, honey, it's important for you guys to never lose tradition. You'll have an advantage in the real world. You'll know when you grow up. I rolled my eyes. Little did my mother know, I would have a different view on what the real world looks like. My parents had gone to the spa room and then would eat dinner later in a fancy part of the hotel, as it was lovers' night. Ugh. My little brother and I were still awake. I pulled out my laptop to play some Armored Patrol on Roblox, while my little bother recreated Infinity War with his action figures. Honestly, he couldn't bother me tonight. I was so excited to get Robux for Christmas, and finally get that Dominus Nixter V uses. I was in the middle of an aerial dogfight, trying to capture a base, when my brother yelled at me from under the bed. Jeremy, come look, he exclaimed. Not now, Ike, I'm in the middle of something, I said, not taking my eyes off the screen. Ike pulled my arm, causing me to let go of the mouse. The enemy hit me with a rocket, causing me to go oof. What the heck, bro? I almost had him. What could be so important that it could not wait? There's a journal stuck under the bed. What? Let me see, I said while getting off the bed. I crawled under, turned on the light on my phone. He was right. There was a bound leather journal stuck in one of the bed frame slats. I pulled it out, slid it from under the bed. There were initials in the bottom corner of the journal that read, J.M. You shouldn't open that, Jeremy, it's not yours. I'm only going to see if there's anything that will help me figure out who it belongs to. I opened the journal. The words were in German. Luckily, I was able to read German pretty okay. Thanks, Mom, I guess. March 18th, 2017. Just got a journal today. I'm really excited to write down my adventures on Roblox. First, I'll start by seeing if these John Doe rumors are real. The first entry sort of humored me. Obviously, he must have been younger if he thought the John Doe thing was real. I'm 16 now, so I estimated 12 years old. Handwriting also helped me deduce his age. I kept reading through the journal and something struck me as sad. He seemed to have been bullied. I read this entry from April. I wish Gunther would stop bothering me. He took my lunch today. I wish I could do something. That won't stop me though. Today, I appeared in an Inquisitor Master video, even though it was for 10 seconds. The sadness that I was feeling would gradually turn into a chill down my spine as I read some of the following entries. October 31st, 2017. I went as my Roblox character today for Halloween. I was so excited and got lots of candy. Too bad Gunther got a hold of it. Him and his ginger sidekick. He made fun of my costume. Oh look, it's Little Pump and Kanye West. He pushed me and my little brother. I couldn't get up and my little brother began to cry. I wish Gunther would enter those woods and would get torn apart by some animal. That last part was a bit too much. Nearly all of the entries were about Gunther, The journal became more about Gunther than Roblox. November was mostly the same thing. Gunther would stuff him in a locker, steal his lunch, same thing over and over again. The only new thing was that he met a user named Richard Rowe. But December, those entries started to become hard to read. Not handwriting-wise, more emotionally. Especially since some of the words seemed to be smeared by tears. December 1st, 2017. I guess it's another year. My family keeps fighting. I'll be moving with my mother soon. I can't handle it anymore. I want to protect my brother from my abusive father, but I'm sure it's going to be another sad Christmas. There's been another tragic nightmare. December 5th, 2017. Today was Krampusnacht, and I got whipped by Gunther, who was disguised as Krampus. My brother cried to sleep. I wish he would sleep in peace one day. I couldn't make it through that entry without tearing up a bit. I wish I had closed that journal right then and there, because the next entries seemed to come from a horror film, but curiosity got the better of me. December 20th, 2017. My mother made us move to a hotel for now. It's pretty nice actually. I'm really loving the fast Wi-Fi. I was on Roblox today and met someone named Krampus on the normal elevator. He looked half man and half goat. He had long horns protruding from his head. I really like your Krampus avatar, but they never responded. As a side note, I didn't really know what Krampus was in English, but it turns out he is the opposite of Santa Claus. Instead of giving out gifts, he whips you with tree branches if you're naughty.
He still bothers you, doesn't he, little one?
Krampus said. Who? I asked.
Gunther, of course.
The text bubble appeared.
Wouldn't you like to see some chaos in his life?
I guess. Entry abruptly ends here for some reason. December 24th, 2017. I had enough. I want him dead. Gunther has to pay. I finally had gotten enough money to get my little brother a Roblox gift card, but stupid Gunther took them from me and ripped it apart, saying Roblox is for babies. I don't know how he found me, but I don't care, as long as he leaves my brother alone. 3 a.m. Santa never came, he never comes. Why do I even bother in believing? I got on Roblox to meet with Krampus. I removed the name of the game for a good reason.
Ah, yes, the negotiator, Jurgen.
I was surprised he knew my name.
Have you thought about my offer?
Yes, please get rid of him.
In order to gain something, you must lose something in return.
Krampus typed. My brother and I want peace and quiet with Gunther gone.
Wise words, are they?
We teleported to a game that said Gunther's house. I thought this was a friend from school who had beef with Gunther and made this game. Once it loaded, I followed Krampus through the house. It was very detailed. Too detailed. At this point, my hands were sweaty. I had no idea what might happen, but I had to keep reading. I needed to know how the journal ended up under the bed. We entered what looked like a bedroom, and there was an NPC sleeping. Krampus crept up to him, his long tongue hovering over his face. I realized it had a slight resemblance to Gunther. I could hear a slow piano tune faintly in the background, and a voice, a deep, guttural voice singing.
Hark how the bells, sweet silver bells, seem to say, tear them away, Krampus is here, bringing them fear, to Nidhogg to feast the weak and the lost.
Krampus then grabbed a stick and started hitting Gunther. His health was being lost quickly. Gunther's face became flooded with fear. Krampus grabbed him by the neck and leg and pulled him apart. A loud yell was heard through my monitor. This yell felt too real, like it was happening in real time. I've never heard anything like it. Not even in a movie they could recreate this yell.
Here's chaos for your peace, Jurgen. I paid my end. Now it's time to pay yours.
The screen froze. I couldn't move the mouse. Then Krampus walked towards the screen. I tried shutting off my computer, but he kept walking forward. Then all of a sudden, the screen went black. There was a green text on the screen that said,
"Debts are always paid."
"My mother isn't here. My brother is awake. I can hear it. Clomp, clomp, clomp. Right outside the window. I have to get him out. I will hide this journal if I don't make it out alive." It just ends there. There was obvious desperation, as the words started to become more elongated. I wonder what happened. "Ike, can you stay here for a bit? I have to go somewhere," I said. "Sure thing," Ike said. "Actually, on second thought, come with me." We were going to take the elevator, but there was maintenance going on. We went down the stairs when we were stopped. "Jurgen," a man said. It was a janitor, a chubby old guy with a long white beard and glasses. When I turned around, "Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were someone else." "Excuse me, you knew someone named Jurgen?" I asked. When I mentioned Jurgen, his face became somber. "I need to know." Poor child. He was just a lost soul who never had loving parents. Hatred and pain led him to suffering. We followed him near a storage room where he told us to wait. He came back with a newspaper article, "Boy in Asylum After Causing His Brother's Coma." I was there. He ran out of the room screaming, thinking that someone was out to get him. He dragged his brother by the arm, down the stairs where he tripped, causing his brother a serious brain injury and falling into that coma. He kept yelling a name, Krampus. Of course, no one believed him. He was sent off to a psych ward. He was a lost soul. He was just a lost soul. He was just a lost soul. As I looked up at the stars, I realized I didn't want those Robux anymore. As I looked up at the stars, I realized I didn't want those Robux anymore. Nor do I want his story to end there. Why am I not dead? That same tragic nightmare keeps returning. I still hear the voice of torment, the voice of regret, the amalgamation of the two, creating the voice of suffering. They won't stop. I want to run, escape, but I guess they were smart enough to put me in a padded cell, complemented with a straitjacket. Shut up, I tell the imaginary voices in my head. My sanity no longer existent. How could it not, as my brother died? My sanity died with him. There's someone here to see you, a voice different from mine said. Do not be afraid. I am the cure. A man said, let me introduce myself as Ricky Goldsworth. The following story was posted on 4chan in the x/paranormal board. The post was deleted soon after. The user has remained anonymous and his story has not been reposted anywhere. The post said the following. Hey guys, Annan here. I'm new to this board, but man, do I have a story to tell. So something weird happened to me last night. I don't really know what to make of it, other than I can safely say that I got an email that I should have never received. I live in Moscow, Russia, the same country where the 2018 World Cup was held. I'd recently gotten home after some fun in my Lamborghini Huracan. Oh, the sweet sound of a naturally aspirated V10 engine. Sorry, I'm getting off topic. I check my emails nightly. After all, the life of being a Russian YouTuber ain't easy. On the night that I just so happened to check the spam list, there was an email that caught my eye. The email had come from someone within @robloxinnovation.com. Now at first, I thought that my Roblox account was compromised and needed my attention. I opened the email, but to my disappointment, it was in English. These Americans in their automated English messages. I went on my Roblox account and everything seemed fine. So I went back to the email and did some Google translating. It seems as though the message was supposed to be sent to someone named Flamingo. But the L was supposed to be a capital I, and that's how it got sent to me by that small chance, since everything else in the recipient field was exactly the same as whoever this Flamingo employee was. What I read sort of freaked me out, and I had to look over my shoulder a few times while reading it. I swear, X, I couldn't make this up, even if I had chugged down a bottle of Russian vodka. After the post, some users were a bit skeptical at first. The original post received a lot of criticism due to the nature of the story. One user asked for proof and to share the email. The anonymous user sent a screenshot of the email a few hours later. The OP seemed a bit more distressed, saying that he has no idea what he has gotten himself into. Hey guys, Annan again. I know it was stupid of me not to post the email, but it's just so weird, and I don't know if I'll get into some international trouble. But here it is. Good evening, Albert. This is Nick speaking in regards to the specimen known as John Doe. The team believes to have found the real John Doe, the same user and test subject from David Baszucki's Mind Heist experiment. It's taken over a decades-long search, but our team believes to have figured out a pattern that led to the whereabouts and capture of John Doe. The team has found that John Doe sightings have spiked over the years, and the data shows that the most recent sighting occurred around March. Oddly enough, there seems to be no trace of his opposite counterpart, Jane Doe. This could be due to either insufficient or credible sightings of Jane Doe. This has led the team to believe that either Jane Doe is stuck somewhere in the metaverse, or that she has passed away her consciousness to the afterlife. However, given the fact that John Doe has evaded us well over a decade, it's not too far out there that David's daughter could have kept evading us. Their bodies are still in the ROBLOX Corporation in the underground laboratory. Since you are new to Project Rust, here's a rundown on the advances and discoveries our team has uncovered, as we now own a majority of the ROBLOX Corporation. Not only are we on the verge of something great, but it gives us a glance at the unfinished Mind Heist experiments. The first calamity. The creation of the Richard Rowe AI proved that it was possible for a human to survive outside reality and into the metaverse, and to coexist with a non-sentient being. The second calamity, caused by Ricky Goldsworth, who should be taken care of by now with the contract killer we hired. The result was that more AIs like Richard Rowe have been created since his release. A few of them affecting the outside world, as was the case in Germany, and the disappearance of a girl who had been allegedly abducted by a weird Roblox-like animatronic in the United States, Arkansas to be exact. We trapped the specimen in the following place. Of course, since you're the right man for the job, we need you to interview John Doe for us. So far, we've been able to replicate parts of the experiment, and one is successful, known as admin. When more are ready, we will able to commence the Roblox Metaverse experiment, which would be known as the third calamity. We'll also have you know the enemy of Project Rust right now is David Baszucki himself, whom we've tried our best to silence, but of course the genius was able to escape into Europe. You are instructed to stay away from any public places, as we do not know how many other people, or things, might want to get the whereabouts of John Doe. So enough of that. Do your work and send us an evaluation when you're done. Got it? Also, be careful with test subject John Doe. Every time we've tried to contain him, there have been power surges which cause power outages and makes Roblox go down completely. We wouldn't want the public to notice too much now. There was a link at the very bottom of the message. My poor judgment convinced me that since I was in Russia, and Roblox was an American company, nothing would happen to me, right? Apparently, my stupid brain was content with that answer and I clicked the link. The page took me to the Roblox game load page. The Roblox logo looked green and it said, "Welcome to John Doe's place." I have a $2,000 gaming rig, and even with all that power, it still lagged. And then I met him. The user up on his name was no mistake. It was the John Doe. The user number 2.
So, I assume you're here to interrogate me.
The chat bubble said. John Doe standing idly, almost as if he had expected me. "That's impossible," I typed in Russian. "You're just an AI, not a real person."
I am more than an AI, less than a man.
Surprised at what I was reading in Google Translating, I asked it a few questions. "Who are you?" I asked.
I am me, but who are you?
"How do you speak and understand Russian so well?"
What can I say? There's a Roblox team that helped me translate over 250 languages.
All these answers went nowhere, so I decided to ask, "Are you going to hack Roblox?"
Don't be silly. If Roblox were to be destroyed, it'd either be by Roblox themselves or Richard Rowe.
There was a slight pause.
I myself felt for the AI that David Baszucki had made for his daughter. This is my one and only warning. You can't stop Richard Rowe. He has already won. But I'll be waiting for him in the metaverse. For now, I must say goodbye.
John Doe summoned a clear dominance that reflected the light of the game. My PC literally blew up and caught fire. I was able to extinguish the fire. Then I realized how dark my room was. There was a massive power outage on my block. Now I don't know what to make of it. John Doe was never a test account. He was apparently a test subject. He won't hack Roblox. He's been trying to save it. This was the user's final post until he posted again 24 hours later. The user's new message said the following. "Hey guys, Annan here. I know you guys don't believe me. I don't believe me either. But recently, there's been a weird black helicopter circling around my place. But they're deep black, and it just seems to be circling right above my place. I'll update you guys when I find out what's going on. Just whatever you do, if you receive an email from @robloxinnovation.com, leave it. Don't open it, or else your fate is as good as mine." This was the user's last post before the thread was deleted. A few users pointed out how they recall hearing about the strange disappearance of a child in Arkansas. One user, who said they lived nearby the Roblox headquarters, claimed that the employees of the Roblox Corporation seemed dead every time they walked by the building. The original poster has never been heard from again. I went on to Roblox, typically looking up random things into the search bar to look for players to see what will come up. Now, whenever I find a name that has not been yet taken, I would make an account so it would. Who knew that doing that came with a price? I looked up the keywords brittled sadness, mainly because I thought it was an emo name that a little kid trying to look cool had already done. Somebody had already apparently, so I decided to, well, click on it. I mean, what else would I do? The avatar looked unedited, not in a bacon hairstyle though. It looked like not even the system had touched the account's avatar. It also had a place, and at first I assumed it was unedited as well. Then I saw it also had visits from other people. From my knowledge, the creator's visits don't actually count as visits, so they can't just visit their place and earn visits. So that meant 2 players had went on this game before me and played. I wanted to just guess they were just curious people like me, but my anxiety kept telling me otherwise. Somehow, I had not read there was a name. I was too busy speculating. Then I went on to the game with the description reading, "Never let the petals of strictness fall, and never disobey." That was my life. So why not let it be yours? It was in a bold font, oddly enough. Joining the game, there was a house. The house seemed like a free model, I suppose. Going inside, I saw the creator, or somebody that looked like them, telling me, "It's beautiful outside. Dreary. Why not leave now?" As I continued through the house, there were more people who looked like them, warning me to get out before he comes. It seems they disobeyed something of him, because they all seem to have a similar message. Get out now or obey him. I was in the attic of the home when the creator of the game joined me. A chill went down my spine. I chatted hello to the creator, trying to seem like just a visitor. Then the creator said,
Come outside, please. You are much needed here.
I came down to the front area of the house, daringly going outside.
Why, hello there.
Brittle sadness told me. Why am I needed? I asked rudely.
Be more polite to me, inferior. You don't want to end up like the rest of your people.
He shot back. Then I asked him the same question, just a bit nicer. Okay, why am I needed, sir? In which they responded,
Oh yes, follow me please.
At this point, I knew who the he was. It was Brittle Sadness. I followed him, and all of a sudden I had a feeling of being watched.
Jump.
He repeated in the chat, as we were next to the edge of the world. Why? I asked.
Just do it. Don't keep me waiting.
He responded. I then refused, saying no. Of course, I should have done it. It was only a game, but I was feeling like trolling him. Then all of a sudden he flings me saying,
Welcome to the underworld, Don. I said listen.
Then when my person died, my avatar looked like his.
They warned you. I warned you. Just obey. It is so simple, how could you not see it? Now you're like them. This is permanent. You'll be stuck like them on your screen.
Then I realized I could not turn off Roblox, nor my laptop for that matter. Then my character turned into a model, saying these words on top. Be smart and leave, because if you disobey... I have a PC, which is how I got this story across to you guys. I'll be sure to update this if anything else happens. Okay, so I'm an idiot. I bought a new laptop, mainly for the purpose of investigating this guy. Maybe it was not worth my time, but then again, I thought it would be best to figure him out. You know, in case somebody else lands in his path. So it seems he's all about strictness and obeying. So I guess listen to him. Or don't go in his game. I think when he notices people are in his game, he will probably join you and terrorize you. Or maybe it's a scripted bot. I have no idea. My best bet is rejoining his game on my new laptop, so I can stop my almost endless curiosity. The amount of visits is the same, with only one added by me, relieving all the stress I had earlier. So now I guess I'll join. Everything is the same, so I adventured into the backyard. I'm on an alternate account I just made. I had to look like a different person in case he shows up. I plan on having bad grammar too, something I lacked of last time. I went to the backyard, which had a pool. As soon as I jumped into it for fun though, the creator joined. He teleported right to me, then hopping out of the pool and saying,
"Get out of the pool, sir."
To which I responded, "Why?" He then responded kind of late, putting me in a worrying state saying,
"Haven't you learned from last time?"
he remembered the account I used last time. I was worried and confused, so I just refused the username as my old one. "Who's that boy?" I said. Brittle Sadness said,
"You both have the same face. Stop playing games, William."
That was my real name. I could no longer pretend. "How did you find my real name?" I asked, worried for my privacy.
You didn't try to hide any of that. Why didn't you duct tape your webcam? Why did you say your name out loud? Why did you reveal so much of yourself just by saying a few sentences?
He replied, as if he were scolding me. I was just confused, and I tried leaving the game. I couldn't though. It was scary for me, because all I said in my head at this point was, "Get me out, get me out, get me out."
You can't get out of this one easily, William. You can try, but you won't. I warned you. You never came out of your little pool. Why should I make you leave something you don't want to then?
I was barely thinking. I responded, "So leave me alone then, creep." Then he did what he did to me yesterday. He flung me, and I turned into a model again, except I was in a different position, like a sitting position. Then I was put on the steps of the pool, and my model had different words on top.
This pool is off limits. I didn't listen.
At that point, I had 2 laptops inside my closet that didn't work properly, which annoyed me. Don't visit Bitter Sadness' place. If you disobey him, you'll end up with a PC/laptop that doesn't work and a broken Roblox account. I think there may be a lighter punishment. I'm not sure. Or, you could have just said, "Okay, boomer." It was a rather bland Saturday, despite the fact I completed all my homework and I was free to do practically anything. So I restlessly hopped onto my computer and logged into the only game I felt like playing, which was of course Roblox. I thought it would be fun to see if I could try and make it to the top of the leaderboards on Broken Bones 4. Yes, I was bored to the extent of wanting to play one of the worst games on Roblox. But my plans would soon change due to a horrendous occurrence. I would mark it one of the most frightening moments in my life, without exaggerating. Anyways, after logging in, I noticed a multitude of messages in my account's inbox, which turned out to be friend requests. They came from these odd fellows with black heads. Unsurprisingly, they were bots. I snickered at the new attire the A.I. scammers displayed and ignored all of them. Well, except for one. I wanted to have fun, and this was a chance to grab at it. I wanted to know what would happen if I went to one of those Robux generator websites. Nothing unfortunate would become of my computer. I mean, what could they do to your Roblox account? Steal your credit card number? If they somehow did get into my Roblox account, I wouldn't be disappointed. There was nothing really special about it. There were no Robux, barely any badges. Probably because I didn't play often, and no accessories besides the default ones. With the limited possibilities I came up with, I just had to see what would eventuate. It was just what I needed to turn this dull Saturday sideways, and I wasn't wrong. But it wouldn't come to me the funny way I expected. If I had one chance to change what I did 3 days earlier, I would have just slouched in my chair and whipped up the Roblox forums for an answer. I guess this is what I get for attempting to have fun. But enough of me blabbering. I don't want to give it away in a tedious manner. And with that, I accepted the bot's agonizing request, and a few minutes later an automatic message popped up in the private chat. Hello, would you like to receive an amazing amount of Robux? Simply go to redacted site to achieve your reward. I shrugged and whipped out a browser and searched up the website. Sure enough, it was there, but the strange thing was it had only been browsed 6 times. But over millions of people use the internet, so how could the place be undisclosed in such a manner? I was sure many skeptics would be skimming a website like this, but it reminded me of an abandoned house or something. I guess the best phrase for it is, it was out of place. I reluctantly clicked on it, and after loading for 3 minutes straight, I came face to face with a dark blue screen with red uneven letters that read, "No turning back now." I was deeply unnerved. Why would you write such daunting words when you're trying to scam people? Perhaps this was all a prank and nothing really would happen. Maybe this was just a waste of my time. But at this point, I was knee-deep in curiosity, and those mysterious words applied to my situation. It was too late. I wasn't going to leave just yet. Below was a white rectangular box which I assumed was for my username. I was right. I typed it in and tapped the enter key. I tapped it a few more times since nothing appeared to be happening. Maybe the person who created the website needed to get a notification before anything would happen. It was a recent website after all. With the bots taking that new appearance with the blocky heads, I assumed they wouldn't just give you outdated websites. I tapped a few more times before sighing and exiting the window. I went back to my Roblox account to see if anything happened. This was when things started getting weird. Everything looked normal, but while I was gone, the bot started sending me more messages. I wonder why I didn't hear that classical ding sound whenever I minimized the window to go to that forsaken website. As for what the messages said, well, I couldn't really tell. The text resembled otherworldly symbols that looked like contorted stick figures. The foreign letters were embedded in glowing red word bubbles. The hairs upon my neck stood up as I sat there, gawking. The messages, they kept coming. There was no stopping them. As the messages continued on, my user page began taking on some other form. The pictures of players on my friends list, including my own profile picture, began turning themselves inside out. A black, gelatinous liquid poured out from the inside corners of my computer screen and began splashing against the bottom, making an eerie sloshing sound. I couldn't tell whether it was just some authentic 3D effect or if it was real. My first thoughts was it was just some creepy computer virus, which, to be honest, was the only possible explanation I had at the time. The screen then shifted into the face of the bot I encountered, but it was slightly different. His once chill face had an elongated smile which displayed maggot-infested gums and brown rotting teeth. Green discharge flowed from his shockingly large, out-of-proportion nostrils. His eyes were poking out like a predator's nose, shooting out to sniff the air. The pupils had a fiery swirling inside them. The appalling sight made the bind in my stomach roar in agony. I sprang out of my chair and rushed into the bathroom, leaving the bedroom door ajar. I hanged over the toilet dramatically and vomited. I then crumpled up into a ball on the floor and cried. I'm sensitive, okay? I'm not going to apologize for being a baby. I abruptly stopped sobbing at the sound of footsteps coming from my room. I got up slowly and peeked outside the bathroom door. I swore there was somebody moving in my room, but when I dashed inside, clutching a curling handle plugged into a nearby outlet, nothing was in sight. And my computer was back to normal. To protect my privacy, I've decided to keep my name anonymous. I'm a regular Roblox user, scouting over the game page to find one that catches my eye. Although I have a hard time since usually there are none that interest me anymore, like they did in the past. What had happened to me started with a rumor by... They narrated what a suspicious user called Campfin roamed the Roblox servers at random times ranging from 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. He would friend random users he encountered and ask them to join his game, and would develop into a rage the more time the friended user spent on other activities on Roblox. If the user did visit Campfin's place, in their sight would usually be a red house far away from their spawn location. It was said that the users would feel forced to enter the house, and upon doing so, the house would catch on fire, leading the user's character being deleted, and their account would suddenly vanish. In rare circumstances, Campfin's place would consist of something different, sometimes even related to an unusual topic he would sometimes discuss about to the user, if they were to say something to him in the website chat. Some accounts describe the randomly generated features of his place to be quite disturbing, and somewhat even related to the users themselves. I didn't believe this because I depended on my common sense to what was said, that all myths and rumors are fake. I got home after a long and boring Friday at school and logged on to Roblox. I was relieved to have reached the weekend. I decided to play Death Run as it was one of my longtime favorite games. However, as soon as I clicked the play button, I saw in the corner of my eye that I had a friend request. I usually ignored these as many of these kids are trying to get attention and look cool by having a lot of friends, by randomly sending a request and never doing anything with you once you accept it. The gray screen on the Roblox client vanished, and my character appeared in the lobby. I played for some good few minutes until I got bored and quit the game. I decided to go to the friend page and typically ignored the person's request. As soon as my browser loaded, I couldn't believe who sent it. The user was Campfin. I ignored it in a panic because I didn't want to suffer the consequences of the previous users that were foolish enough to accept it. To my surprise, the ignore button didn't work. I repeatedly clicked on it, but to no avail. It still didn't work. I just decided to leave it in the end. Eventually, after about 3 hours, the request icon turned into red. I was confused since this, of course, didn't happen before, but I shook it off as a Roblox update. All of a sudden, I got an urge to accept it, and so I did. His user appeared in the chat box and he messaged me later. His username appeared in the chat box, and he messaged me immediately with the typical dialogue of a regular Roblox user.
Hi.
Who are you?
I just want a friend.
I don't play with unknown users. Leave me alone, you creep.
Please.
I grew tired instantly of chatting with him and went to play some games. After about another hour of place jumping, I came back to see this.
Come to my place, idiot. I will make you vanish. Now.
I ignored him. He was talking like an obnoxious 5-year-old. I logged off of Roblox for the day. When I woke up the next morning, I logged back on and saw that Campfin's chat box was red. This, I also had never seen before. How could a user's chat box turn red? I got disturbed, and I grew more cautious while playing Roblox games. Eventually, my curiosity had forced me into joining this disgusting creature of a user's game. His game was titled For User, and just looking at it, it gave me goosebumps on my arm. It had no description. I joined the game and my character spawned on a gray path with white fog surrounding it. I did what any gamer would do and followed the path. On the grass, there were lots of white pillars surrounding my character. What had been annoying me as soon as I joined was that there was some sort of deep whispering, or a breathing noise that would loop every time it played. As I walked on, the pillars started to get more and more distorted, cracked, and broken. There was a message in black text on the ground, to which this day I still don't know what it means. I kept going on until I came across some more red text, but this time it was in Morse code. which I was unable to translate since I have never studied it before, only heard of it. I looked up and saw the rather disturbing feature that the previous users had accounted. There were multiple wooden pikes that stuck out of the ground, and my character was impaled on them. I was disgusted and horrified, even though it was just virtual. I immediately went to the X button on the client, but it didn't work, nor did Alt F4, or even Task Manager. I tried to turn off my computer, and even that didn't work. The only deciphered option left was to completely unplug my computer, and it finally shut off. I breathed a sigh of relief and sat down in my chair. Luckily, I had an old laptop that also had Roblox on it, so I grabbed it and logged on. My account had vanished, which meant that the rumor was actually true. I logged onto the alt and searched up Canfin again, but he had also vanished. I was confused and scared, so I decided to contact Roblox support in efforts to recover my account. A few days later, they had returned the email and I got my main account back, so I logged into it and Canfin had been removed from my friends list. It was a relief to have finally gotten the situation over with. I saw in the tab I got a message, and it was from Canfin. There was only half of my mind telling me to view it, and the other telling the opposite. I decided to view it, and the message said, "I'm coming for you." I brushed it off, since you can't find a Roblox user's address just by looking through their account. Anyways, I played some more Roblox games, and nothing's happened for a few days now. I made it clear that Canfin doesn't like attention, or even being mentioned. But the reason I'm writing this is because I want to tell you that Canfin is real. I just heard something outside. I'll be right back. For reasons regarding privacy, I will not be providing my name or any of my contacts. There is no need to compromise any of my personal information, as it has nothing to do with what happened. I'm a freshman who recently started taking web design. With skills I obtained beforehand, I was able to make myself kind of popular on the Roblox website by designing t-shirts for avatars. And they were so good a few YouTubers had even worn them for a few videos. It wasn't anything too significant as my main hobby was exploiting. I would go from game to game trolling gullible 9-year-olds with my friends who also bypassed the game's admin filters. And no, I'm not going to apologize for this. It was purely for satire. Nothing to get me ahead in any games. A few particular games my friends and I liked to mess around on was Prison Life and Mad Paintball 2. As those were fairly easy to cheat on. Saturday was always a good time to hop on and wreak havoc on salty players. We'd fly through walls and use an automated aimbot to destroy anyone near us. The particular client we were using, the name isn't necessary, would hide our usernames on every other player's menu screen so they couldn't report us. Yes, that's a possible thing to accomplish, but it isn't perfect. I've had my fair share of bans, and I believe everything bad started on my 6th account. It all began like any other Saturday. Mom goes to the grocery store, I'm free to make myself toast and watch TV and play video games. The usual. My friends weren't online when I logged in, but I was too impatient. You see, the client I would be using updated once a week, introducing a fun-filled exploit. The new particular one would cause my avatar to explode if I died, killing anyone near me. Sadly, it only worked in Prison Life. But that was no matter because it's basically where the craziest players roam, just waiting to find an excuse to rage quit. I opened up my client and purchased a new hack. Most of the exploits are premium and like $30. Crazy, right? Followed by hopping onto Prison Life. That's when the fun began. I would stride foolishly into the police's spawn area and get shot, followed by an explosion which killed everyone else. I was met with insults and laughing emojis in the chat. I loved the people who wouldn't take me seriously. All was well until a fellow prisoner waltzed up to me. They possessed that classical elongated smile with upright oval eyes. Their skin tone was an ugly shade of brown, and they had long blonde hair that went straight up through their deflated head. I turned around in acknowledgement as the stranger typed to me,
"Hey, can you please stop? You're making me really sad."
I wasn't sure whether to take Lily Sunbear 123 seriously with all those stupid emojis. And yes, that was her username. So I replied with proper grammar and punctuation and sarcasm. "Sweetie, when you're depressed as I am, you really ought to dispose of those emojis if you actually want me to care," followed by swiftly resetting my character and causing an explosion. I honestly thought this gag would be perfectly timed if it wasn't for the fact that this Lily Sunbear 123 character was still in one piece and standing. Right before I respond, I could see another word bubble materialize above her malformed head saying,
"I'll make you regret departing from your mother's womb."
That's when my dismembered avatar was teleported back into the prisoner spawn. I was certainly taken aback by this abrupt response, and went back to confront the mysterious player, but she was nowhere to be found. She clearly left the game. Satisfied with my response to my prank, despite the exploit turning out to be a bit buggy, I continued my weekly trolling and nothing unusual happened within the span of another week. That was until yet another Saturday morning, I discovered Lily Sunbear 123 had sent me a friend request. Out of curiosity, I accepted it, and almost immediately I received a private message from her, which read in pure cringe-worthiness,
"Hi, username. Sorry for being mean, I get mad easily, but I want to be friends, please."
I honestly would have taken a screenshot to show how utterly ridiculous the message was, but I didn't think anything of it at the time. Anyways, I replied as I usually would to someone with grammar from the depths of the underworld. "This is a joke, right?"
"What you talking about?"
She responded with one too many question marks. I honestly couldn't help but feel a bit bad for her at first. I thought she must have been around 5. "Listen, I'm not really here to make friends right now. I'm busy, you know. There are plenty of other players you can hang out with, though." Her response was unexpected, to say the least.
"You hate me, don't deny it."
I paused in alarm, but before I could reply, Lily Sunbear 123 sent another message. This one more chilling than the last.
"I understand, username. You want to die alone, and guess what? I'm already dead."
I tried messaging her after, but then I discovered she had unfriended me, so I hastily searched up her username and clicked on her profile page. She was offline, but before she logged off, Lily Sunbear 123 left a message that made my heart stop.
"Username, if you don't leave this game within a week, I'll make sure you succumb to mine."
The words were in a big jagged font, which made the message too long to fully appear on the screen, and I didn't dare to find out what the rest read. But when I thought about it, there was nothing to be scared of. The player was trying to scare me, and that's it. I could do the exact same thing if I was quirky in that way. All was well, but little did I know. Lily Sunbear 123 wasn't finished with me yet. Looking back, I probably should have taken her threat more seriously. But I let a week pass by, still playing Roblox anyways. I'm sure you probably have had that feeling where you tell yourself you're not afraid, but deep down, you know something is wrong. Still, everyone doesn't want to show that fear is in control of them, and most of the time, it works. Unless reality has a way of telling you the truth. When the beginning of a new week arose, I had completely forgotten about Lily Sunbear 123. That was until I discovered she had sent me yet another friend request shortly after I got on. Upon accepting it, I was met with a third message from the mysterious player.
"Username, why are you still here?"
"Because I can. Duh," I typed in annoyance.
Underestimating me will only bring you more pain.
LilySunBear123 replied with a hint of hatred. My ego was starting to show signs of breaking in fear, but I wasn't going to show her that. What are you going to do, sissy? Hack my computer?
I forgave you, username. I also gave you another chance, but you still treat me like you're the big bully, and I'm the hopeless individual. But little do you know, I've already done it.
Done what? I asked. All of a sudden, a pop-up appeared on my screen. I was met with the loading screen for a game match I swear I didn't click on. Before I could process what was happening, I was teleported into a dark hallway. I could barely see past a few feet. I tried clicking off the game in annoyance, but the exit button wouldn't respond. That's when I made the guess that this was all her doing. Taking shallow steps in game, I gulped down the last of my fear and proceeded to continue moving forward, determined to figure out what was going on. The more I walked, the more lights would appear above, fluorescent ones that were embedded with the tan ceiling. As I moved on, I couldn't erase that feeling that I was being watched. I knew she was here, but there was nothing I could do about it, nothing I wanted to do. It was as if the aforementioned feeling had taken flight. I knew something was horribly wrong, but I didn't want to show I was afraid. I could hear the eerie echoes of my avatar's footsteps. My index finger ached as I pressed the W button on my keyboard, harder and harder. It felt as if the hallways would never end. All of a sudden, a player teleported in front of me. LilySunBear123. Her arm craned upward to present a long, twisted sword that resembled an ancient khopesh. I honestly didn't know what to do at this point, but let her strike me down with a single swipe across my torso. Rather, my avatar's. I watched as she stood over my dismembered character. Then she said,
I know what you're thinking, username. You think you're safe.
No, I'm not too sure what to think. As I typed this, I still possessed doubt. When I lifted my shirt to reveal a small gash on my chest, it all seemed to add up. I looked back at my screen in horror, and saw that I was kicked from the game, and the reason that was displayed was,
I'm not finished with you yet.
And then I saw my name, my birth name. I really hope the wound I received was just some coincidence. It hurts my head like heck to try and rationalize everything. I reported the account, but I'm not sure what that'll do. Even if LilySunBear does get banned, that doesn't mean she can't harm me. It's the end of the beginning. Richard Rowe's project is almost complete. He's found a way to control his Robloxian body. The hitman I hired failed to take out Richard Rowe. Not even other forces have made a dent into his progression of his final goal. From what Silas told me, Richard is heading to Nevada, specifically to Area 51. He's planning to storm Area 51 for its supercomputer. I drove near the border of Area 51, and not too much to my surprise, he was already there. I parked my Camry, making sure I wasn't noticed. I saw Richard Rowe and his 30 other Arthro minions standing at the edge of the line. I hear a head guard talk.
If you cross that line, I'll make sure my snipers blow you apart and analyze your body. I don't expect to lose, General.
Richard Rowe retaliated.
I shall bring Earth to its knees, and Robloxia will rise from its ashes.
Richard Rowe and his minions crossed the line. Shots fired. One shot shattered the windshield on my Camry. I needed to follow Richard Rowe. It was a simple mission. Put the USB killer on Richard Rowe. It would sound any easier, until Richard Rowe kept tanking every shot coming towards him. He was playing defensive. Robloxium is meant to absorb impact, but if it's overpowered, it can be destroyed. But I knew he wasn't going to go easy. Eventually, he created a shockwave that created a resonance, pushing back soldiers. The snipers were already taken out by the other Arthros. I kept my profile low. A few shots almost hitting me in the process. And that's when the tanks and special ops came. Though even those attempts were futile. Richard Rowe's internal EMP shockwave disarmed the new tech, and with sheer power flipped over a 2-ton tank. "What are you?" a man said.
"I am inedible,"
said Richard Rowe before throwing him aside like a rag doll. I chased inside, knowing Richard Rowe will not hesitate a moment to reach Area 51's supercomputer. I grabbed a flash grenade from a fallen soldier, just in case. The elevators had already left and going down to the basement. Time to take the stairs, I thought. I said the previous part as a joke, but they actually had stairs in this government facility. When I finally made it to ground zero, there they were, in a line.
"The day has come. Humanity will know a true, uncorrupt world. I, Richard Rowe, will create a perfect universe. The universe of Robloxia."
Richard Rowe connected with the supercomputer, downloading content onto it. They were the Roblox Dominus.
"Forgive me, Jane Doe. I promise. I will bring you back."
Download time will take approximately 1 minute. Would you like to proceed?
Yes.
Dominus Imperius, Dominus Infernus, Dominus Frigius, Dominus Messer, Dominus Vespertilio, Dominus Auroras, Dominus Astra, Dominus Rex, Dominus Pedacium, Dominus Prefectus, Dominus Venari, Dominus Clavis, Deadly Dark Dominus. Commencing the reign of Richard Rowe.
Richard Rowe was vulnerable at the moment. I knew I had to do something. I had one shot at this. I threw the flash grenade in the middle of the Arthros. They became blinded when it blew. I tackled Richard Rowe in an attempt to plug the USB killer in his chest, but it was no use. Richard Rowe disconnected, immediately grabbing me and throwing me onto the ground.
"So we meet again, Ricky Goldsworth. Look at you, a failure. Your hitman failed to eliminate me. You couldn't live with the thought of others having to fight your battles. And where does that lead you? Back to me. Your attempts at stopping me has only let me grow. You have nothing. I've taken your family, friends, everything. Why do humans keep fighting knowing they cannot win?"
Because, Richard Rowe, we humans have something your AI components don't. Hope. I managed to plug in the USB killer. Richard Rowe was glitching and finally fell. I actually did it. Richard Rowe is gone. Finally, Penelope. I can be with her again. No. No. No.
Ricky, Ricky, Ricky. When will you learn? Dominus Vespertilio has protected me. I have become the monument of your failures.
He grabbed the USB killer out of him. The computer screen showed the world map. All important capitals of the world. Why are you doing this? She's gone, Richard.
Death is the final limit of things. To a human. I will create a universe of no suffering.
Yet, how many people have to suffer for your cause? The girl whose sister you ripped away from. The boy whose sanity you ruined.
Sacrifices are to be expected. The strongest survive. The weak perish.
You plan to create a peaceful world from suffering?
Ironic, I know. You will thank me when you see my universe. With a single snap, all humans will fall unconscious. Do you remember the first question you asked? Hey noob, what's your favorite Roblox game? My answer is, this world.
He walked over to the computer, ready to launch a worldwide attack. There was nothing to do but to watch. Richard Rowe was going to pull something that no one in history has ever pulled off. A worldwide mind transfer. It was only ever attempted in the mind heist experiments. But even then, it was unsuccessful.
You should have aimed for the head.
Richard, no! I would not recommend letting your kids go on these type of Roblox games. My son started playing Roblox roughly around 3 years ago. His account name is Tight Dragon. Around 2 months ago, strange things started happening. Since then, it made my son not want to play Roblox anymore. A user by the name of Cursed Plague sent him a friend request. At the time, my son wanted some Robux, and he was a bit greedy. So he accepted his friend request because he had a hat called a Dominus, which is supposed to be a very expensive hat. My son asked this person for some Robux, and they responded with,
Do not trust Cursed.
Shortly after, my son was a bit interested about him, but my son said he never plays games often. Usually he would join weird old games that nobody played. Shortly after, my son checked his profile and found one of his games named Moving On. When he entered it, the game was just a flat island with some flowers, grass, and trees. But it updated shortly after, around a week later. It had a new island with a temple of sort. When you went into it, you see people that have transparent bodies and praying motions. Sure, it did not seem weird at first to him, but sooner or later it updated, and then things started getting weird. The game suddenly got multiple people playing at once, and was getting a bit known. As the guy kept updating it, it seemed to get stranger every time. In one of his games, as you play, you see a strange figure watching you. It constantly turns the head of the player towards you. Now, I'm not that type of person to support satanic things, but the game had hidden stuff like that in which I do not like. There was always reminders of not to trust Curse. Sometimes you try joining the game, it just freezes on the loading screen. It never goes to the game. You either have to shut your tablet down or use Task Manager to close Roblox, depending if you're on tablet or computer. Since then, this person has friended a lot of myths of Roblox, as my son calls them. Curse generally has a weird game with some secrets, and my son said something about it being hunted twice on a group. He now updated the game, and it is named The Basement, which he made another game called Moving On, which has a teleport to the basement. The game can teleport you to 3 different games named The Forest, The Sewers, and some other game which probably is in another language I do not know. It recently updated yesterday, I think, but my son does not want to associate with anyone on Roblox anymore, because he is scared to play Roblox now. Rather, I would recommend checking the game out yourself. It has a lot of weird things that don't seem right. Also, please comment if you find anything. I was extremely bored, so I decided to read some of my messages. When I came across a suspicious message from a user named Triculus. His message was titled Help, and the message under it said, Help me. Lost in the void. Help. His avatar was completely black. I checked his profile, and it had nothing except the fake semi-transparent pants you can get for free. Probably to remove all the default clothing. I looked in his creations and found a game titled The Void. I joined and found myself in a dark void with nothing except a wall, with white figures that were skewered to the wall with swords. I decided to have a look at the back of the wall. It said, "Why are you here?" Then I realized something was pushing my character. I turned around and there was a horrifying bloody ghost pushing me. Then I was teleported to a different game called Why Did You Join? I was freaked out at this point. When the game loaded, a fake Triculus was standing there, doing a satanic ritual to torture a white figure. Then Triculus himself joined the game. My name changed to Me. I want to go next. Then he destroyed the white figure and put me in his place. I fell over and I was laying there, stuck on the floor. I could not move. I decided to log out for a couple hours. Later, when I logged back in, my avatar was black, and my description said, "Help me. Lost in the void," like Triculus's description. I was stuck like that forever. Before I start the story, my name's Hannah. I'm a 15-year-old girl who only liked Roblox, because I started playing it when I didn't even know how to read. You know, a skill you're required to have when you play a lot of games on Roblox. Anyways, I have a little sister named Annie. We were both part of a Mexican family. I was 8 and she was 4 at the time of the story. Annie had an imaginary friend, which always creeped me out. My 80-year-old grandma told me it was pretty common nowadays, and said she would stop talking to dead air when she grew older. Even if it made me uncomfortable, I didn't want my sister to know that. I wanted her to have the happiest childhood that nobody has ever had before. I should have told her that I was uncomfortable. Then this would have never happened. Anyways, it was October of 2012, and I was laying on the floor, drawing, while my sister was sitting on her bed playing Roblox. We shared a bedroom at the time, and my sister always tried to be friendly with me. She said, "I really like your drawing, Hannah." "Thanks," I replied. My parents always told me to be polite to the people who compliment you. So I asked, "Are you having fun playing Roblox?" Her reply was unexpected. "Yeah, I'm playing with Nina." Nina was the name of Annie's imaginary friend. I just said, "Oh, nice." I was a little off guard after she said that, but I still tried to have a polite conversation with Annie. "Are you planning to get tons of candy for Halloween?" Her next answer really scared me. "Yeah, me and Nina are really excited to fill our candy buckets, even if Nina can't eat anything." I was confused. Annie said Nina was human, but if she's human, why couldn't she eat anything? It slightly made me feel bad for someone that didn't exist, but I came to the conclusion that Annie is aware that Nina isn't real, but she just doesn't want to believe she's not. "Hannah, Annie, time for dinner," my mom called us. "Don't forget Nina," Annie yelled. We walked downstairs to hear our mom sigh and say, "Don't forget Nina." We sat down and ate our dinner, which was delicious not to mention. After 10 minutes I finished and was excused from the table. I went upstairs to our room to play Roblox on my laptop. I sat on my bed, opened my laptop, and typed in the password. I opened the Roblox app to find I had a pending friend request. I checked the user who wanted to friend me. Their username was just Nina. I felt the shiver go down my spine. First, Roblox wouldn't allow you to make your username your real name. Second, the account was made in 2008, when Annie was born. Why wouldn't that username be taken by then? I declined it, but then they sent another friend request. I declined it again, but they sent another friend request. I kept declining and they kept requesting. I got really annoyed and blocked them. I played Murder Mystery for 10 minutes until I heard the audio that plays when you receive a message. I checked my Roblox homepage to find a message from that Nina user. The message read,
Hi Hannah, do you want to play Meep City with Annie and me?
I replied, how did you get on my friends list?
We're friends in real life, Hannah. That makes us friends in Roblox.
The way she ended her sentence with a smiley face freaked me out. I thought it was my big cousin Jackson trying to mess with me, as he was the only other kid in my entire family that I told how uncomfortable Annie's pretend friend made me. Come on, Jackson, stop playing with me.
Jackson plays Roblox now? I hope we can play with him.
That reminded me. Jackson's parents were strict and completely shuttered his connection with video games. They wanted him to stay close to family rather than stay close to video games. So I thought Jackson told my other cousins. Are you Jana? Lena? Ella? She typed back.
What are you talking about? I'm Nina. Don't you remember?
You're not fooling me. I reopened Roblox to see I wasn't in the murder mystery lobby anymore. I was in the Meep City lobby. Annie was standing in front of me saying,
Come on, Hannah. Let's go to my house.
And yes, she did overuse the N key on the word on. I just acted casual and said, yeah, okay. I followed her to the neighborhood. We went into her house to see Nina sitting on the couch. Sis, why is she here? I said. Don't be rude, Hannah, that's not nice. I'll tell Mom if you bully her. I sighed, embarrassed that she used the I'm telling Mom threat. I tried leaving the game, but the game just resumed, and I saw Nina say,
Why are you trying to leave?
My stomach dropped. How did she know I was going to leave the game? Just as I thought about it, my mom shouted, Hannah, Annie, it's 9 o'clock. Get off those computers and go to bed. Then, in the game, Annie said, We have to go to bed, Nina. Then Nina replied,
Oh, okay. We'll play tomorrow.
I immediately closed the Roblox window successfully. I fell asleep at 11:15 after laying in bed for 2 hours, unable to sleep. 2 weeks later, it was Halloween night, and me and my sister were ecstatic, not only because our parents would allow us to collect teeth-rotting rocks, but we got to scare people with the fantastic costumes my mom made. My mom works at a clothing store, so she had many ideas for an outfit. I was a devil, Annie was a fox. My mom gave us the candy buckets that we bought at the grocery store, and we were off. Now, this wouldn't be Halloween without you being tricked or getting scared to your grave. Annie said, Don't you like Nina's ghost costume? She looks like a real ghost. I think. She caught me off guard, but I tried to keep my cool, so I said, Yeah, I'm pretty wicked. She didn't mention Nina until the end of our candy heist. Both of our buckets were full to the brim. I was proud of us. It was pretty impressive to get that much candy back then in our neighborhood, especially since most of the people who lived there were old couples that didn't give out candy. Then Annie said, I don't think Nina got as much candy as we did. Oh no. Then what happened next made me think I would lose my sister forever. Usually on Halloween nights, we came back at 8, but there was a catch that night. Huh? Annie said. What is it? I asked. Nina says she wants to show us something. I thought she would show us something Annie already knew about, but I was wrong. Annie started walking into the forest, a place our parents strictly told us to stay away from. Annie, we shouldn't go there, I said. Be quiet, Hannah, this is important. I just followed. Annie walked for 30 seconds until she started running. Now, Annie was much faster than me, so I couldn't keep up. Annie, slow down. I was worried she would trip and hurt herself, but chance chose me. Instead, I was the one who would trip, fall, and get hurt. I fell face first into the dirt and laid there. Everything hurt and I couldn't get up. I stayed there for about half an hour thinking about Annie. Then I heard voices. "There's Hannah," one voice said. "Who's there?" I said, trying to get up. "Hannah," another voice said. I recognized his voice immediately. It was my mom. She ran up to me and hugged me. I hugged back. "What's going on?" I asked. Looking around, I noticed the other voices were police officers. They had flashlights and backpacks. One policeman took his radio and said, "We found one. The other one is still missing." My mom said, "You didn't come home and we got worried. We called the police telling them you were missing." Now, what happened? Then I remembered. "What about Annie?" one female cop said. "She ran into the forest and I tripped and fell." "We have to keep looking for her then," another cop said. "Let's go." My mom helped me up and I helped them search for Annie. We walked forward, calling Annie's name and pointing our flashlights at things. After 10 minutes we came to a small hill and found Annie sitting up against a tree. We were relieved to see her, but there was something else with her. A corpse. The corpse looked exactly like Nina's Roblox avatar. Then one of the police officers took out a clipboard and flipped through a bunch of papers. The papers were what appeared to be missing child posters. After he flipped through 14 papers, then he came to a stop. The paper had a picture of a child that looked like the dead body, and the name on the paper was Nina Fester.